Today we will be covering the laws of physics in Fast and Furious 6, particularly the scene where Dominic Toretto saves Letty. Newton's first law states that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion with constant velocity unless acted upon by a net force. In this case, the tank is moving at a certain speed, but is stopped in its tracks due to an outside force, which is the white car attached to the cable. The tank was moving until acted upon by this outside force, and this demonstrates Newton's first law of physics.
Also, there's another example of Newton's first law of physics in motion. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona was in motion on the freeway, but was stopped by the railing of the bridge.
In the case of Toretto, he was carrying more momentum in the air compared to Letty's momentum in the air. Dominic Toretto's mass is 102 kilograms, and we estimate that car's velocity was around 104,607 meters per second. This means that Toretto's momentum is 10,669,914 kilograms meters per second. Letty's mass is 54 kilograms, and we estimate that her tank's velocity is also around 104,607 meters per second. This means that Letty's momentum, which took her into the air, is 5,648,778 kilograms meters per second. Since Dominic Toretto's momentum is greater, this makes it harder for him to be stopped, which partly contributes to the reason why he took Letty in the air, instead of Letty taking him while they're both flying through the air.
The fact that Dominic Toretto and Letty land perfectly in the car is somewhat unrealistic. Using an equation from kinematics, which is x final equals x initial plus v initial times t plus 1/2 at squared, we can see that the circumstances had to be just right in order for them to land directly on the car. We estimate that the car is around 6.1 meters away from Dom and Letty making contact with each other in the air. The acceleration of Letty and Dominic is around 1.083 meters. The initial distance is 12.2 meters. The initial velocity is 25 meters a second, and the time is 10 seconds. This adds up to a final distance of 10.5 meters, which completely overshoots the car that they landed on.
Meaning that Letty and Dom Toretto would be flying off the side of the bridge.
The momentum of the tank that Letty was on and the momentum of the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona that Toretto was on sent them flying in the air. Toretto's mass is much greater. Dom Toretto weighs 102 kilograms and Letty weighs 54 kilograms. Dom and the tank were driving at a speed of 104,607 meters per hour with an acceleration of 1.083 meters per second squared. When Dom and Letty were launched from their vehicles, they were sent soaring at 104,607 meters per second. At the point of impact between Dom and Letty, they had an inelastic collision, which means Toretto was able to take Letty into his flight path due to Dom's force, which is 110.466 newtons, almost doubling Letty's force of 58.482 newtons, which leads to Dom's net force being greater than hers.
In this case, the force of Dominic Toretto is greater than the force of Letty. This is the reason why Toretto takes Letty in the air, instead of Letty taking him, but in this free body diagram, the force of gravity is greater than the normal force due to the fact that Dom and Letty's weight is greater than the air resistance, making them eventually come to a halt against the car.